What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is having a kick-ass day, currently up 9.78%, 18.29 the low, 20.07 the high. So welcome back to the 20s. You're seeing a lot of volume. So 17.1 million shares being traded, 70.7 is the average. On a macro standpoint, nothing really coming out today that's going to really move the market. We have FOMC minutes in the afternoon, but that hasn't really been that big of a market mover since like 2024. And as I've mentioned in my last couple SoundHound videos, all SoundHound needs, and needed, I guess, was a nice gentle push. And they put out news today, and that was that gentle push. And this is why you're seeing, on a technical standpoint, this really breaking out, even though it's not a crazy new catalyst. And what I mean by that is this. So they put out this news early this morning. So it looks like Apivia is bringing 𝗪𝗧𝗪 to their call center. And so this is good stuff. In general, really hits home to what SoundHound's trying to accomplish. But at the same time, this isn't a new customer, because this was already kind of announced November 2024. And they already kind of went on how even at that time, it did increase 20% productivity and so forth. So like I said, I think this is good. The only difference between this PR and the current one is just 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛. That seems to be that big deal. But aside from that, I think that they could have put out any news, because like I said, all SoundHound really truly needed was a nice gentle push to break it above some key resistance levels, and then you were going to see a very nice breakout. So this is why even in my last SoundHound video, I said $20 is coming. So hopefully a lot of you did either buy or do call options, as I've mentioned, because based on a return on investment standpoint, it's a lot more advantageous to go that route. But aside from that, shorts. So shorts are increasing 508,000 shares. So they're trying their very best to slow SoundHound. Clearly it's not working out too well for them, but 32.07% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 117 million shares overall being shorted. DTC sitting at 1.97 days. So that does still signal that shorts are overextended. So if SoundHound does put out more of these PRs in the next little bit, just reconfirming their customer base and the fact that they might be integrating new versions, then yeah, things might get very real very fast for SoundHound. Potentially could be even seeing a new all-time high. Looking at the options though, a massive amount of money is getting in through options. This is why I've even mentioned last video, like, focus on options. This is how you can make some good money. Even though SoundHound did go up a good, probably was it 15-20% since my last video, you could have made like 1-2x probably from options. So definitely take the time to research that. But looking at the options, 15 million in calls, 1.2 in puts, 55% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. Coming from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be above roughly 20 by this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 18. So definitely a little bit more upside given everything. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. I'll just hit refresh because yeah, I'm orienting it based on premiums now. So you see, first thing, a lot of big transactions, 4.7, 4.7, 3.7. So big money is definitely getting in to SoundHound on the secondary market, as well as the dark pool. So I'll just hit refresh and we can kind of see what we have there. So the highest transactions are 985 and then 984. So I think coming from a technical standpoint, algorithmic trading most likely is going to be that big culprit where a lot of the volume is coming from. So again, something to keep in mind. Aside from that, with it at 1971, it is trading between these 2 points. So this R2 and this R1. So 1860 is going to be a strong support. 2029 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. So it's just smack dab in the middle between these two. So just watch for both of those if you're wanting to dollar cost average, swing trade, or whatever else. As of today, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings whatsoever. So last one did come out on the 17th. So most likely we'll be seeing some most likely sooner rather than later. But even looking at this market position, this is exactly what I was talking about, how we all kind of generally knew that SoundHound was going to break out, because look at the lack of willing sellers. There's absolutely nobody willing to sell. So you have maybe one or two institutions right there, and that's it. So we could be seeing a very nice run to 52-week all-time highs. So things could get very real very fast. Of course, the broader market, you can kind of tell, does want to pull a little bit lower. And as I've mentioned, most of the volume, as you can even see from the flow, is coming from algorithmic trading. So again, even though today is very exciting, you could see technically a little bit of a pullback, because even looking at this right here, you see a little bit of a gap. And so potentially it could consolidate to kind of that $19 range. But still, even if it does, I think bigger picture, this, like what SoundHound's trying to accomplish and just the general sector, is going to have massive growth in the foreseeable future, and big money knows that. That's why they are getting in and constantly have been getting in. Looking at the stochastic RSI, because of the recent push higher, you see it getting a little bit hot. So it is at 77. So potentially getting a little bit overbought. So the first sign of weakness, you could see some consolidation, but I don't really see anything negative coming out from SoundHound itself that would prompt that. It would be more due to the broader market. But nonetheless, exciting news for SoundHound today, and there hasn't really been all that much in articles really talking about SoundHound. I think one thing that could come out, and as I mentioned in my last video, is a new rating from Daniel Ives, because he has a lot of weight behind him, that he can get a lot of individuals looking at SoundHound. So he has a massive following. And so I think generally him giving a new rating, because it's kind of been long past due. The last one was on May the 9th. So I think in general, if he comes out and gives a rating, that would be pretty good, because yeah, he did have at the highest $22. So in December the 16th, that's where he originally gave his $22 price target, doubled down on February the 28th, and then did lower it on May the 9th, which was because of their earnings. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your general thoughts on all that? It does look like it's pulling back a little bit, but again, that's anticipated because most of the volume is coming from algorithms. But nonetheless, you are seeing a lot of good transactions. One thing I do want to share with you, though, if you want to take a look at analyst reports, pop over to Moomoo, because they actually do remove a lot of their paywalls. Because if you go on a lot of websites, they actually charge you to look at analyst ratings and see what they're actually saying. So pop over to Moomoo, sign up just for that alone. So that's a pretty good kick-ass deal. And even aside from that, they do have a good promo. So if you sign up, throw $100 at it, they give you $50 back. So that's pretty good return on investment on a side note. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.